Hey everybody, Jerry here again with a little bit of everything. Long time no see, my friends. It has been a long time since I've posted a video. Um, been working like a dog lately, so really haven't had the time that I would have liked to have to do this kind of stuff anymore. But figured I'd, do a video. It's the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Today's video is simply going to be an experience video. So on March 3rd of this year, where I live in Queens, New York, in Howard Beach specifically, this area floods all the time. So with that being said, our car was parked. We had a 2013 Honda CRV, and it was parked in front of our house, our apartment, and tide had happened to come up that night. We had just got home from shopping. We were unloading groceries. One thing led to another. We just never got up to move the car, and yeah, come to find out, 11 o'clock that night, went outside to check on the car, make sure everything was okay, and there was about, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 feet worth of water on our block. There was like 5 or 6 cars that were lost on this block alone, including ours. So I just want to basically go over how the total loss process works with Geico. That's our insurance company. That's who we have. We still have them to this day. And, obviously today's July 4th, so it's been 4 months almost, basically. Actually, it's been 4 months. Anywho, so I called Geico that night. I explained the situation to them. And, it's funny because when they do the first reporting of the incident, the girl on the phone was basically like, well, we don't find you at fault. And I'm like, well, yeah, no shit. The car was parked, so duh. How could I be at fault for something where the car was basically parked the entire time? Makes no sense. Anywho, so they did that. They set up a rental reservation for us for like the following Monday, because they just couldn't do it that right then and there. We weren't going anywhere, so we were like, screw it, Monday's fine. We get the rental, no problem. I get a phone call from the vehicle damage adjuster like that Monday afternoon. We agree to meet up Tuesday morning before work, and I basically show him the car, and he essentially says to me, he was like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, I can either total the car, or I could pay to have the car repaired, or I could attempt to have the car repaired. I said, at this point, I was like, just total it, because with salt water, which is where we live, there's no guarantee with corrosion and rust and everything. I was like, just screw it. So whatever, long story short, he said, okay, fine. He agrees to pay to have the car put in the local body shop down the block from our house to store it there for the week. That way it gives us time to empty the car of our belongings, etc., 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 etc. Fine. So that's done. Car goes. Then he was like, the same day, because I had said to him, I said, look, this is a first. I've never experienced a total loss. How do we go about these things? And he was like, well, what's going to end up happening is I'm going to give you a value of what we think the car is worth right now. It was a 2013 Honda CRV base model. I think it had maybe 36,000 miles on it, I think. No accidents. We were the second owner, I think. So it was probably most likely at least trade-in. But yeah, at the end of the day, he was like, the car is worth, I don't know, I think his initial estimate was like 15 grand or 15 and a half, something like that. So I said, I know the car was worth more. I was like, we paid more than that when we got it 8 months prior. We only had the car 8 months when the flood happened. So he was like, all right. He was like, basically just, if you can get me comparables, we can negotiate. So I said, cool, works for me. So that day I went online, found comparables within the tri-state area. Some were a couple of, in Pennsylvania, Virginia, but comparable, because a lot of the stuff that was in the tri-state area wasn't comparable. I ended up getting the car up to $17,000, which is fantastic in my opinion. So they cut a check for $16,500 because we have a $500 deductible. That was sent to the insurance company. Once the title was received by Geico, me and my girlfriend, we paid for overnight shipping to Georgia, where they get the titles, and we sent the title in. They cut the check, and that was it. And then it really was just that simple. Like, they sold the car. I went online, I ran the VIN, and the car was sold at a IAAI auto auctions, and yeah, and that was it. So I mean, my first total loss experience was decent. I really didn't have any problems. Geico really, covered it. The biggest issue was the bank. The bank, oh god. But that's another story. But yeah, anyways, so if you guys, have Geico and you're curious like what the total loss process is, don't be too worried. I mean, for a New York resident, New York City resident, total loss, it was relatively simple, no real big issues. The adjuster was more than accommodating. So yeah, with that being said, again, happy 4th of July, and please like, comment, subscribe if you already aren't.